How are you, ladies and gentlemen? There you go. All right. Oh, it is dark in here. Ugh. Ooh. All right, that ought to do it. That ought to do it. It's hard to have a show when you have, excuse me, nothing planned. Well, William, I hope all is good with you today. So, I've been watching westerns. Don't even ask me why. Looking up the Battle of Little Bighorn. Don't even ask me why. Today's been a bad news day for me personally in my personal life. So, excuse my sort of melancholy vibe, I guess. I should go get a water or something. Water. I did get to play like guitar, but not very long. Maybe like an hour and a half. Super ice cold water. Not always the move. So I mean, I had a sort of shitty personal day. It happens. We all have to go through it. Changes our mood, but excuse me. Do I want to make coffee? It's too late for coffee. So in order to kind of like clear my head and do some other stuff, I was watching westerns, and because I like to watch westerns, I've explained why I like westerns before. The stories are tight. It's usually a town or a post up in the hills, right? You know who the good guys are and the bad guys, and the story's fairly simple. Yeah, it's a good time to veg out. But then every now and then you catch a historical thing made, right? So there was this historical, not historical. There was a Little Bighorn movie, and it was just kind of like, well, it was not very good, but it was what it was. And I watched it because it was, why are we talking about westerns? Because it was like one of the last popular westerns. Like it was made in 1966, right? And by about 1970, westerns were dead. People were still making them, but people were more so making countercultural stuff. And that was the rise of cop movies, right? So Clint Eastwood, for instance, went from westerns his whole career from the 50s to making this turn in the 70s. He was famous. It wasn't like he did it to make money, right? He was already a very famous guy in like the 60s and 70s, and a very famous movie star. So, but in the 70s, he started making cop movies because nobody wanted to see westerns anymore. And then now we're inundated with cop movies and gun movies, and now people are sick of that, quite frankly. Excuse me. People are sick of that. And now they're slowly moving into superhero movies. And God knows how long. I mean, we've had superhero movies now for 10 years, right? Shows no sign of abating. I didn't even open them. Where did I just put that? My mind. Yeah, so, a ton of cop movies now that are becoming unpopular for the same reason westerns became unpopular. When did this fascination with old music and westerns hit you? I've always loved music of any stripe. I love doo-wop, right? It was the music of my dad's youth, so he played a lot of it when I was growing up. Excuse me. Like Tears on My Pillow, and Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, or that great kind of like. Look, okay, this is the thing I have about music nowadays. I love a good love song. I love song. I do, but I think a lot of these songs are just sex songs, right? It's about, yeah, it's just And I don't think I'm a prude, but I guess I grew up in an age where with flower children and sex was, let's say, accessible, right? Versus in the 50s and 60s where there was just a taboo on sex and nobody mentioned it, and people slept in separate beds on TV. And the only thing you ever saw was like a guy grab a woman by her shoulders and kiss her, and that meant, oh wow, he took her, right? Now taking her means something totally different. And it's like catch it on OnlyFans or some sex channel or whatever. Um, the music is very, you know, what's that lyric? There's a song. There's a love song talking about riding the D, right? It really is just I don't know where you go from here, other than putting a giant penis on your album, right? I don't know. But there's no metaphors anymore. There's no symmetry. There's no symmetry. Similes. There's no interesting wordplay. There's no. It's just boring. It's like, yeah, the beats are hot, but the lyrics are trash, and it's always something about the club and sex. She's either hot and she wants it, or she ain't all that. And I kept moving on to the next girl. It's just kind of like, all right, women are writing songs, but essentially, I hate men, right? Or I control men. So they should give a genre name. It should be a totally different genre. And women are making whatever they're making. I don't know. That maybe they should maybe they should call it fem rap or fem rock or fem pop or something else. Cause that what's that, the gay rapper who was first, I thought he was a country artist, and he was I don't know what he is. Uh and now his music is what? I guess it's the second coming of like club music. I would say club music when I was a kid. Black people had rap music and R&B, and club music was more Latinos and Spanish people, and then the gays loved it. So then it became more associated with like the gays in New York. I'm talking about New York City proper, right? Gays in New York. I mean, the Latinos don't have other music, but no, not everybody listened to it. Like it's mostly in Spanish. Celia Cruz, that wasn't playing in club, but popular stuff that people were like, oh, I like this jam. It was usually like house music, or I'm saying black music, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but Latino music is not popular. Uh, and all the Latino artists make black music, quite frankly. Was looking at Natalie and Nat King Cole. She died at 65. He was 47. Yeah, but she had a long, Natalie Cole had a long history of drug nonsense. So that takes you out of the game as well, right? It limits how long you will last in the environment. This is why people are always amazed at Keith Richards still being around, because he was a heroin addict and he had a lot of relapses and da-da-da. I think did he have a couple of overdoses? But yeah, on the other side of it, he looks like a walking skeleton, but he's up and around and under his own steam, right? That can't be said for a lot of people. Look at Bam Margera. I mean, ugh, you know what I'm saying? Keith, let's look up Keith Richards. Because we love music, and yeah, I don't really have a show, but I'm gonna be here every day. So some days are like this. Keith Richards, this is gonna be good. All right. Often referred to during the 1967 as Keith Richard. Oh, okay. They do an S on it. Membership, band of band leader, songwriting, solo, public image, and private life, tributes, friendships, honors, music equipment, da 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 da. Okay, so I guess we're going up here to private life, right? It fell out of a tree. How high was he? Oh my God, that's a story I want to hear. Music journalist Nick Kent attached the Richards epithet, mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Jagger thought that Richards' image had contributed to him becoming a junkie. In 1994, Richards said his image was like long shot. Even though it was nearly 20 years ago, you cannot convince some people that I am not a mad drug addict. Richards' notoriety for illicit drug use stems in part from drug busts. All right. 60s and 70s, and his candor about using heroin and other substances. Richard had been tried on drug-related charges 5 times. Okay, I guess he was the what's Iron Man's name? Who's Iron Man? The rich Hollywood kid. His father was a famous director. Iron Man. I should know this, man. Good Lord, I'm just Robert Downey Jr. Right? So Robert Downey Jr. also has like the same sort of multiple arrest history in like the 80s before he got his act together. How many? I mean, yeah. Drug-related charges 5 times in 67, twice in 73, in 77, and in 78. The first trial, the only one culminating in a prison sentence, resulted from February 67 police raid on Redlands. What is Redlands? Is a grade 2 illicit country house in Western Essex. Hold it. Redlands is a grade 2 listed country house estate in West Wittering, West Sussex, owned by the Rolling Stones' Keith Richards. Okay, so it was at his house. Richards Sussex estate. Nice to have an estate, kids, where he and some friends, including Jagger, were spending the weekend. The subsequent arrest of Richards and Jagger put them on trial before the British courts. Whilst trying them in the court of public opinion, saying, look at these rock stars, they're bad for you, they are horrible, their music, don't let your kids listen to, mind you, these were the people, this is the 70s, so who's in charge? 50 and 60-year-olds, right? So they were born in what? The 1900s? They would be 70 then. The 1920s, right? We're always being told what to do by people who are older than the time. So now America, my country, is run by all these 80-year-olds, and it's just shit is bad. Look at the Afghanistan withdrawal, and then they're kept in power by all these want to be the next millionaire, next presidents who are in their 40s and 50s, and not so much 60s, but the 60s are their handmaidens, and then they'll come in when we have teleportation to spaceships that shoot you across the galaxy. They will be somehow saying no to that. And then when the people finally age into that technology will be 70 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old. You know what I mean? We're never led by the proper people. And even when they get in at the proper age, they don't really have authority to change shit because the 60 and 70-year-olds are in charge. And then they'll sit around forever. Like Joe Biden has been a senator since he's been 29, right? What has he done other than enrich himself? And when I say that, I mean, how much is he worth? It doesn't matter. But like, my point is, you begin to be fatalistic. Excuse me, I'm spitting all over the place. You begin to be fatalistic. If you're intelligent and you're following what's going on, you begin to be fatalistic about the people in charge, because you can't keep being told the same story. You can't keep being sold the same lame horse. The first trial, the only one coming in the prison sentence, including Jagger, was spending the weekend. The subsequent arrest of British courts while trying them in the court of public opinion. Okay, on 29th of June, 67, Jagger was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment for possession of 4 amphetamine tablets. Richard was found guilty of allowing cannabis to be smoked on his property and sentenced to 1 year in prison. Ooh, cannabis, you piece of shit. Both Jagger and Richards were in prison at that point. Jagger was taken to Brixton Prison in South London, and Richard Wormwood Scrubs Prison in West London. Both were released on bail the next day pending appeal. So they spent a day in jail. All right. On July 1st, 67, June 1967. So within the course of 2 days, on July 1st, the Times ran an editorial, "Who Breaks Butterflies Upon a Wheel," portraying Jagger's sentence as persecution, and public sentiment against the convictions increased. A month later, the appeals court overturned Richard's conviction for lack of evidence and gave Jagger a conditional discharge. Right. So this makes sense. How am I supposed to know who's smoking weed on my property? I'm not with you every day, right? So I can see why you would kick that. And as for the tablets, unless they found it on you or you said they were yours, conditional discharge. What is conditional discharge? A type of sentence imposed by a court whereby no punishment is imposed. So no punishment imposed, but if we catch you next week doing something stupid, then we're going to activate this sentence against you as well as whatever new charges you got. It's kind of like, all right, if you can stay clean, we'll expunge your record. That's what they do with kids, right? Richard were released, penny public, lack of conditional. All right. I always lose my space. On 27th February 1977, while Richard was staying at a Toronto hotel, then known as Harbor Castle on Queens Quay. What is a quay? All right, hold on. Is quay an inlet? What is a quay? What is a quay? That's not how you spell quay. U-A-Y. What is a quay? All right. Quay, a concrete, stone, or metal platform lying alongside or projecting into the water for loading and unloading ships. Okay. Sounds like a dock. These are quays. Looks like a dock. Quay. Looks like a dock. What is a dock then? What is a dock? So I can sit on the dock of it. A structure extending along shore or out from the shore into a body of water, which boats may be moored. A device in which laptop, computer, smartphones. All right. Let's go back to this. A concrete, stone, or metal platform lying alongside or projecting into the water for loading and unloading ships. All right. So quay is for loading and unloading only. The quay is for loading and unloading only. Whereas the dock is, you can dock there and I guess sleep, spend the night there or whatever. But these things over here, this is a wharf. Hold it. This is a wharf. Because I'm looking at these. This is a wharf. Why? Because they're not unloading shit. They're just docked there. So, a quay. Built on piles, built on fill. So parallels to shore, quay and wharf extends out from shore, piers and jetties. Built on piles, wharfs and piers, pylons. Built on landfill, I guess, which is quays and jetties. Parallel to the shore, built on a fill is a quay. Parallel to shore, built on piles of the wharf. Okay. Extends out into the sheet. Okay. All right. All right. I'm pretty sure I won't return that bit of information, but I should, because it sounds like a Jeopardy question. I did love Jeopardy until they recast the weirdness. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police found heroin in his room and charged him with possession of heroin for the purpose of trafficking. That's how you fuck people over, right? If I have weed and I have a bag of weed, they'll charge you as trafficking, which is like 10 times the sentence. It's like the phrase "throwing the book at people" is this shit. If you're a drug addict, and we see the needles on your arm, and you've got one bag of whatever you use, how are you trafficking? You're obviously not selling it. You're a drug addict, right? I mean, the will to sell it and then use it and then sell it and be on point. No, and they know this. The West has really shitty laws that govern drugs, possession of heroin for the purpose of trafficking, and offense at the time that could result in the prison sentence of 7 years to life under the Narcotics Act. His passport was confiscated, so he couldn't leave the country, and Richard and his family remained in Toronto until April 1st. Okay, February 27, 77, April 1st. That's like 4 days. When Richards was allowed to enter the United States on a medical visa for treatment of a heroin addiction. The charges against him was later reduced to simple possession. See? Good Lord. Why would America let him in? Because he was supposed to be persona non grata. He's a drug addict, right? But he's rich and famous. So he gets to come in. For the next 2 years, Richardson lived under threat of criminal sanction. Throughout this period, he remained active with the Rolling Stones, recording their biggest selling studio album, Some Girls. Nice. the 14th British and the 16th American studio album by the English rock band The Rolling Stones, released on June 9, 1978. Rolling Stones Records. By 1970, the Rolling Stone probably was in decline as the music industry was dominated by disco. Some girl did the 14th British and the 16th American studio album. How do you have? Did they do 2 American studio albums? I guess they would have had to, right? Okay. Richards was he was about to go on tour. His life didn't stop at all. And this is the problem with when you don't have anything, you sit in jail for 3 years. And this is not a 2-day wait for them to expedite, some judicial review of your case. Because you're rich and famous and everybody's looking at you. He was given a suspended sentence and put on probation for 1 year. So whatever the sentence was, he pleaded guilty, and they was all right. We'll have you plead guilty. You won't do any jail time. We'll give you a suspended sentence. Just don't get caught in America again with drugs, right? For a year at least. Because if you're caught second time in America, you're going to jail. So you could go back to England. But would you be allowed in the country if you violated your parole, even though it wasn't in America, and they knew about it, and you came back to America? You didn't violate American law is weird because American law says I as an American citizen, if I went overseas and killed somebody or had a job and took the money and left the money overseas and never paid Uncle Sam, I'm in violation of American law as an American citizen. And you can't say, well, I wasn't living there. They don't care. Or if I did that and I came back to America, was like, I'm in America. You can still be grabbed. Yeah, man, I don't know. He was given a suspended sentence upon a probation for 1 year with orders to continue treatment for heroin addiction and to perform a benefit concert on behalf of the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. You know what? I get it, but this is something that I don't understand. And you have to do a concert. That doesn't sound like it should be in any judge's purview. They have all this latitude and leeway. I get public service and come up with a good one, and then maybe your team will go, we'll do a concert. But how can he make you do a concert for the Institute for the Blind? For all he knows, you hate the blind. This could have been the Institute for single mothers, and you might not link single mothers. This could have been the Institute for the Institute. This could have been for the NAACP. Do a concert for the NAACP as part of your program. And you might be like, I don't support that organization. Right? I don't. Yeah, after a blind fan testified on his behalf, a blind fan. Although the prosecution had filed an appeal of the sentence, Richards performed 2 CNIB benefit concerts at Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Both shows featured the Rolling Stones and the New Barbarians. In September 1979, the Ontario Court of Appeal upheld the original sentence, which was possession and treatment. That was a Canadian sentence. The American sentence was different. And this is in Canada. For next year, Richard lived under criminal threat from Canada, right? In 2016, he said that he still occasionally drinks alcohol and consumes hashish and cannabis. Yeah, don't do the shit that's super addictive. If you don't have an alcohol problem and you have a heroin problem, you can keep drinking. But if you have an addiction problem, I would suggest you give up all the shit, all of it. Is this super loud? I think this is super loud. I think you'd have to give up all of it. I gave up tobacco, but I still drink, right? And I was smoking in bars where you drink. So one of my things is I had to get off of tobacco, but still be in these environments where if other people were smoking, I wouldn't be like, oh, you like, I hate, what do you call them, smoke Nazis, where they're ex-smokers, but they hate on you for smoking. I was never one of those people. And I got myself to the point where you can smoke around me. I'm fine. I'm waving my hand like they're smoking. You can smoke around me. I'm fine. There are members of my family who smoke. That's fine. But for me, knock on wood, gone forever. No tobacco, carcinogens and addictive shit. I don't want anywhere near me. So I totally get still smoking weed and doing some hashish and cannabis. Hashish, also known as hash. I don't think I even know what hashish is. Hashish, also known as hash, is a drug made by compressing processed trichomes of the cannabis plant. Oh, so it's cannabis. It's consumed by smoking, typically in a pipe, bong vapor, vaporizer, or joint, or oral ingestion. Hash has a long history of usage in countries such as Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Iran, Morocco. Yeah. Okay. Richards was romantically involved with Italian-born actress Anita Pallenberg. What the German was? Oh, she died. Death, 13 June 2017. Italian actress, artist, and model, a style icon, is an it girl of the 1960s and 70s. Pallenberg was credited as the muse for the Rolling Stones. She was romantic partner with Rolling Stones founder, multi-instrumentalist Brian Jones. And what? This is a thing. Why do you date your boy's girl? There's enough women in the world. You don't need to date the same girl. Was romantic involved with Italian-born actress Anita Pallenberg. From 67 to 79, 8 years, for which they remain cordial. Together they have a son, Marlon Leon Sunday, named after actor Marlon Brando. So you have a baby with a woman who named your kid after somebody else. Okay. Born in 69. And a daughter, Angela, originally named Dandelion, born in 1972. Their third child, a son named Tara Jojo Gunn, after Richards and Pallenberg's friend, Guinness heir Tara Brown, died. Tara Brown was a London-based Irish socialite and heir to the Guinness fortune. There are different accounts as to whether his death. Good Lord, my hand. His death in 1966 in a car accident, one in tribute song, A Day in the Life. Car accident. Died age just over 2 months of sudden infant death syndrome. On June 6, 76, Richard was away on tour at the time. Something he said had haunted him since. He was criticized at the time for performing that night after learning of the death, but he later said it was the only way he could cope. Before they became romantically linked, Pallenberg had been involved with his fellow Rolling Stone bandmate and close friend Brian Jones. All right, when did Brian Jones die? Okay, July 1969. Oh boy, she died in 2017. This is the best picture you have of her? Ugh, that's not a good. It girls. All right. We'll get rid of this. 69, right? From 67 to 79, right? So he died in two. So he was involved with her while this guy was alive for the remainder of his 2 years, right? How long was Richards involved with her? And not Richards. Brian Jones involved with her. New Link. Palmer had been involved with film runs from bandmate and close friend. The two became a couple on a trip to Morocco that Jones had to abandon when he fell ill. So he got sick and you moved in on his girl. Or the vileness of what and how they write this. This is why the world is a Peyton place. The subsequent relationship between Richards and Pallenberg weighed heavily on Jones and strained his relation for the rest of the Stones. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? All this, look, I have had these conversations with people because I know a few women who dated the same guy, and I was like, what kind of shit is that? And they'll tell you, modern woman, and I can do what I want. I'm like, it's a vile thing. If I date you and then slide into on your friend, you would have a problem with that. And I would question why you wouldn't. But it's just everybody's just so morally bankrupt, I guess. Richard met his wife, model Patty Hansen, 79, a year after he broke up with this girl, which makes sense, right? So he broke up with her in 1979 and met his wife, Patty Hansen, and married her as an American model and actress. December 18, they married on 18 December 1983. Okay, no, he met her in 79, then he married her 5 years later, 4 years later. Richardson, for his birthday, have two daughters, Theodora Dupree and Alexandra Nicole, born in 85 and respectively. Published a children's book, boing, boing, boing. Theodora was reported as in Katrina. She helped her dad make the comic book. Yeah, okay. Richard's granddaughter, da da da. Richard still owns Redland, Essex State. He purchased 60 as well as home in Weston. Of course, he's a freaking ridiculously wealthy dude. Uh, giant homes that you're really at. His primary home is in Weston. In June 2000, Richard said that he would retire with his family to Paraguay or Jamaica if he knew his death was coming. Yeah, all these rich British people get out of the country and go for the sunshine in other places. Paraguay is an island in the Turks and Caicos. The island contains about 1,000 acres of land, a mile-long beach, and features of hot. Yeah, it's nice if you can fucking afford it. Or Jamaica because they want you there. Jamaica knew his death. If he knew his death was coming. However, in November 2016, Richard, November 16, he said, "I'd like to croak magnificently on stage." He has 5 grandchildren. Not really allowed to talk about the drugs that we came here to find. That guitar is balling. Who does his hair? Huh? Some 20-year-old? This is your problem. No one ever has gray hair, right? No one ever has gray hair. All these celebrities' hairs are always dark as fuck. Hall of Fame, yada yada, na 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 na. Nice strat. The Rolling Stones, behind the Beatles, has to be one of the greatest bands in the history of fucking band studio. Talk is Cheap, Main Offender, Cross-Eyed Heart, live singles. You Don't Move Me, Struggle, Wicked as It Seems, Ellen, Run, Rudolph, Run, Heartstopper. Oh Lord, Don't Let Them Drop the Atomic Bomb on Me. You Win Again, Hurricane. I've never heard of any of these songs. Albums: The Beatles, backing vocals, All You Need Is Love, broadcast 1967. The Dirty Mac, Rolling Stones, Billy Preston, That's the Way God Planned It, Alex Comer, Aretha Franklin, Ziggy Marley, Conscious Party. Wow, he is fucking prolific. Who is this? Kanan? Keenan. Keenan Abdi Wassam, better known by his stage name Keenan. All right. All right. We're not even going to look at Brian Jones because that's just going to be depressing. Keith Richard. It's like Stephen Colbert. His name is Stephen Colbert, but in order to sell this, oh, I'm not even up there. In order to sell this this character of the late night weird, he's supposed to be when the character started off, he was supposed to be a Republican character, Stephen Colbert, right? Now I don't know what it is, but he changed the pronunciation of his name with it because it made him famous. The Stephen Colbert Show versus the Stephen Colbert Show. How do you pronounce Colbert? Oh, hold on. Colbert with a silent T on the end. New. It wasn't like that before. How to pronounce Colbert correctly? It wasn't that before. Colbert name origin. Ghislaine, Ghislaine's pronunciation. French, Norman, English. It's like the girl who plays Supergirl, right? Her name is also French, but she pronounces it. What is her name? Melissa Bennett. It's Benoit, right? And that's supposed to be pronounced Benoit, but she pronounces Benoit. Billy Preston did 60. Died at 60. Yeah, that's fairly young. I remember when Preston died. Colbert family history. Yeah. How do you spell Colbert? And you've got to have it spelled here. All right. Colbert is an Irish, English, and French surname and given the name of uncertain etymology. I was about to say Irish, English, and French. How do you know uncertain etymology? It's a nice way to say it. Um, Benjamin Cole. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Whew, we've been streaming for 37 minutes. Do I want to cut this off? I think I do want to cut it off. I am going to. What a fucking day. I normally don't like to drink when I feel this way. Whenever I'm this depressed, I'm not going to say sad. I'm too old to be sad. But whenever I'm this sort of out of my normal space, I try not to drink because I think that's a really good way to become an alcoholic. People, you feel bad, like you drink when you feel good, then also you start drinking when you feel bad, and you either feel good or you feel bad, and if that's the case, you're drinking all the time. So I either drink when I'm feeling good, and I feel good, I'm happy about the world, uh, and I never drink when I'm sad. I may have a beer occasionally if I'm out with the boys, but I haven't been out with the boys since this whole thing started, and further because the boys are all miles and miles away, hundreds of miles away. Uh, let's look up this falling out a tree story. Keith Richards falling out of a come on tree story. Let's go. All right, let's kick this up. In 2006, Keith Richards took a tumble from a palm tree while he was on vacation with his friend Ronnie Woods' family on the island of Fiji, of course. Initially, reports indicated that he had taken a nasty knock after falling from a 40-foot tree. Rich later revealed that he fell from no more than 7 feet. Yeah, by the time people get you this story, so ridiculous. Life affirming moment of Keith Richards falling fell Keith, life affirming moment Keith Richards fell out of a tree. Keith Richards hurt and fall from tree. This is an old one. Richards in hospital. Oh wow, it was bad. All right, hold on. Wow. Okay. What's the date on this? I hate news stories that don't give you. Oh, here it is. Who wrote it and the date it was written. Okay, so Anushka Asfana wrote it Saturday, the 29th of April, 2006. That seems recent. Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards had been hospitalized. 2006 was 15 years ago. Yeah. Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards has been hospitalized after falling out of a palm tree at an exclusive Fiji resort. It has been reported the 62-year-old rock star has had had the accident early in the week and was flown to a hospital in Auckland, New Zealand Tuesday. Band spokesman Fran Curtis said that Richards has suffered mild concussion following treatment locally, and as a precautionary measure, He flew to a hospital accompanied by his wife Patty for observation. Yeah, an actual hospital, not a vacation hospital. You want X-rays and especially money, a guy like that. So so you want to make sure he don't die on your resort. And he can pay for it. So yeah, so you stick him in some place where you make sure there's no breeding, bleeding in the brain. Make sure there's he's coherent. You know who this woman is? Yes, that's my wife. Excellent, good job. You can leave now. Um, she refused to elaborate further on his condition or explain that Richard was doing up a tree in the first place. It's believed that he had been enjoying what he was doing up a tree in the first. I'm sorry. That that uh that wording is funny to me. Come on, man. The bird flown to a pavilion, private observation. She refused to elaborate on his condition or explain what he was doing up a tree in the first place. It is believed he had been enjoying a week's break with his wife in the exclusive Wakaya Club resort in the middle of the Stones' latest tour. He got a week off. You rock out, then you get a week off because you know it's hard work. They had played a concert in Wellington on April 18th, the 18th of April, and they started the European leg of the Barcelona Olympic Stadium next month. Richard will be hoping to make a quick recovery so he can rejoin the tour, which will see them play 34 dates in Europe. These guys have been on tour for 60 years. God bless them. They will be playing four concerts in the UK, including London's new Wembley Stadium on August 20th. They will also play in the Sheffield and Glasgow, finishing off the Cardiff Millennium Stadium. Hundreds of seats will be built directly into the stadium set so fans can see on stage during the performance. You're putting this. Okay, Mick Jagger said the group had not lost their appetite for live shows. If we were bored to death, I don't think we would do it, he said. He told GMT more on this. Everyone's saying, wow, they're even more enthusiastic than they were on the last show. We'll still have a lot of fun. Okay, so now we have to find that was day of what year is this? This is 2014. All right, 2006 head injury. Revealed how Keith Richards recovered after he fell out of a tree in Fiji. In 2006, Keith Richards famously took a tumble from a tree while holidaying in Fiji, resulting in the then 62-year-old being airlifted to a hospital to have surgery on a blood clot in his brain. Yeah, okay. Now, 8 years on, details have emerged. Rolling Stone Times spent convalescent in Auckland Boutique Hotel Crocker House. Auckland Boutique Hotel Cotter House. Owner Gloria Popard Wahlberg, 68, had shared intimate specifics of the rock legend recovery after confidential agreement she signed lapsed. It was such a privilege to meet such an exquisite people, she said, revealing Dr. Mark Shaw. Hold on, wait a minute. Is that even the right? Yeah, I missed it. It's under the. Look at that jacket. Sweet Jesus. All right, she signed hat lap. Scroll down for video. Don't need the video. Okay, speaking to the Daily Mail Australia on Thursday, Gloria described the famous guitarist 70 as extraordinary, kind, and very considerate. Yeah, I don't know why more rich people aren't kind and considerate. I mean, money doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. When I worked for HBO, most of those people didn't even talk to me, but a handful did, and I had a good long conversation with Mos Def, the rapper. Right? I don't think money changed him. But yeah, some people are like all of a sudden I'm important, and these people can't be around me, and you get me this, and just yeah, pleases and thank you go a long way. And then it works as publicity as well, right? People are like, hey, that dude is awesome. I met him once. Oh, he did the. But at the same time, you can't be always on. And like, if somebody with their kids, why would you bother them? So I get people barking at you for that. But I mean, he didn't have to. He didn't have to say anything. It was a vicious freaking accident, right? Um, It was such a privilege to meet such exquisite people, she said, revealing Dr. Mark Shaw, professor at James Cook University, had recommended a hotel to Richard. The British star spent 3.5 weeks holed up in an extremely private boutique hotel, accompanied by his wife, Patty, 58, and children Alexander, 28, Theodore, 29, Marlon, and Angela, who had flown over from England to be by his side. A private boutique hotel. This is after he got out. He spent 3 weeks. So he's supposed to have a week off. Then he fell down. And I love that guitar. Just I love wooden. No, I love wooden guitar. I love wood tone guitars. Just no, like this is painted. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing I have about guitars. The aging rocker then spent 3 weeks holding a hotel in Auckland while recovering from brain surgery. By his side, yeah. The house where Keith slept, the rocker was holed up in Auckland Carter House. Nice little look at this. Not one room. You get the whole thing to wander around. It's pretty good stuff. hmm With an entourage of security guards accompanying the family, absolute privacy was part of the deal with Richards and his family staying at the reclusive ideal. Okay, you keep telling me where he's staying. You're not giving any new insight into shit. Enjoying quiet time, Glory says the house uh, bound star spent his time strumming on his guitar in total happiness in the hotel music room, as well as converting the ballroom into an artist studio. Keith is a very good artist, a remarkably good painter, revealing the star even purchased some local artwork by sculptor Paul Pierre. Pierre? BEA, okay, yep. Pierre. Search Google for that. Pronounce. Pronounce. Oh,
Repairs.
she sounded drunk.
Repairs.
Yeah, that is a bad speech thingy. Uh, that's not it. That's not it. Wow, it doesn't. It's got a thing here, but it won't let you press it.
Repair. Repair.
So I was right. Bow repair, right? Uh, this is stuck here. All right, fine. Okay. Enjoying quiet time, Glow Station House about Star and ballroom music studio. He's a very good artist. He's founded by Bo Repair. Okay. The house groundskeeper, Daniel Calvert, was also in cahoots with the rocker, buying him art supplies while the locals got in on the act, gifting him with treats, bottles of booze, and baked goods. It's nice to be loved, but you need security because people will love you too much. That shirt is fucking awesome. It's rope affixed like it's a skeleton. It's pretty good. Um, Hayden, you that must have been a nice fall. Uh, okay, so yeah, look at these guys. He's the only one who looks like a grandpa, the drummer. Um, man, God bless him. Liking this, wait, hold on. These are notes about the photos. Likening the experience to a Downton Abbey style stay, Gloria says Keith's wife Patty took control of the menu planning, requesting only organic food, saying they were very health conscious. You can pay for whatever the fucking you want. You're billionaires. While the families of Mick Jagger, Ron Wood, and Charles Watt was resting or watching television in one of the hotel's spacious lounges, Patty enjoyed private Pilates lessons and organized intimate dinner parties with organic only menus. Okay. So the wife is up her own skirt with her own fucking bullshit. Talking to family relations, she said, they adore each other. Of course. What else are you going to say? Oh, my family gets together. We hate each other. God damn it. I wish these kids wouldn't show up. No one's going to say that. No, so you go, oh, I love these people. Um, the holiday mishap occurred today. Blah, 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 organic menu. Talking to family relations, she said they adore each other. They're absolutely delightful people. The holiday, talking to the family relationship, she said Keith Richards' wife. Oh, okay, all right. No, the wife didn't say this. She just it's that she meaning the woman who owned the resort. They are adorable. They adore each other. She's talking about they were absolutely delightful people. Okay, all right, fine. Someone else is saying this about Keith Richards and his family. Um, The holiday mishap occurred while Keith and family guitarist Ronnie Wood was scaling a tree during a break of their ironically named Stones A Bigger Band Tour. A Bigger Bang Tour. Richards not only survived, but within 6 weeks was well enough to rejoin the world tour. That's it. I've met Keith several times. He's one of the most humble and sincere person I have had the pleasure to meet. He's intelligent, courteous, and sincere, and he's a fantastic family man. I wish him another 70 years. Okay. He's just very good. Hey Keith, here's a tip. Stop climbing up in trees, okay? I think we've been dead for a long time. He just doesn't know it. Sheesh, gotta love him. Off his tree. That's pretty good. FSS, for fuck's sake. Retire, get your bus pass and pension and get some plastic work done on your face. You look 100 plus. Kill two birds with one stone, it used to be said. Looking at them now, I think you could quite easily kill four stones with one bird. Four stones with one. Yeah, that's pretty clever. Hang in there, Keith. Yeah. Oh, wait. We got some rebuttal. How this man is still alive is beyond me. What was doing up that tree in the first place? He flew up there. Read his book. He mentioned that he was just sitting on a branch of a small tree that only around 5 feet tall. Media reports were incorrect describing it 30 feet. Yeah, but here's the thing. I can take a fall out of this and hit my head one good hit, and it don't matter because it's like someone. It's a blunt force injury. I might as well hit you in the head with this, right? A nice hard thing, or I could take a bad spill. It doesn't have to be super duper high. What is this? Falling out of tree memes. Do we even want to see some of the images? Keith Richard falls out of a tree. A younger man, look at him. He, he looked like he was trying too hard to be a rock star. The Rolling Stones. Let's look up the Stones. How long have they been on tour? Got started in black blues music from the South, from the Delta. So they were really a rhythm and blues band. We don't want to go to there. Richard Fredray, Yellow. Rolling Stones honor tattoo you for the anniversary with 9 new tunes. The Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones are an English rock band formed in London in 1962. Wow. Diverging from pop rock, the early 1960s, the Stones pioneered the gritty, heavier driven sound that came to define hard rock. Their first stable line was Mick Jagger, multi instruments with Brian Jones. Really? How many instruments did he play? I thought he was a drummer. Keith Richards, drummer Charlie Watt, and bassist Bill Wyman. From 1962 until 1993. Yeah, so the guy who left the band was in the band for 40 years. Meanwhile, everybody else is still doing it. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. The dude who left has been around was in the band for 40 years. During their formative years, Brian Jones was the primary leader. He put the band together, named it, and drove the sound and the look of the band. After Andrew Loog Oldman is an English record producer, talent manager, and impresario. He was the manager and producer of Rolling Stone from 1963 to 67. It was noted for his flamboyant style. Because the group's manager in 1960 encouraged them to write their own songs, Jagger and Richards became the primary creative force behind the band, alienating Jones, who developed a drug addiction that interfered with his ability to meaningfully contribute. He left the band shortly before his death in 69, having been replaced by guitarist Mick Taylor. 69 to 74. As a member of the Stones, he appeared on Let It Bleed, Get in Your Okay. Uh, who in turn left in 70 Broad to be replaced by Ronnie Wood. Okay, so since Wyman's departure in 93, the band has continued with a four-piece core with Darryl Jones playing bass on tour and on most studio recordings. So they have a fifth dude who's not part of the band. So they'll force him. But they like this guy. He's been around since 1993. Okay. Rooted in blues and early rock, the Rolling Stones started out playing covers and were at the forefront of the British invasion in 64. Also being identified with the youthful rebellion and counterculture of the 60s. They then found greater success with their own material as I Can't Get No Satisfaction, Get Off My Cloud, and Painted Black became #1 hits in the UK, North America, Australia, and Europe. Their first entirely original album is considered the most important of their formative records. In 67, they had the double-sided hit Ruby Tuesday and Let's Spend the Night Together, and then experiment in the psychedelic rock of their Satanic Majesty's request. They went back to their roots with such hits as Jumpin' Jack Flash, 68, Honky Tonk Woman, 69, and albums such as Beggar's Banquet, featuring Sympathy for the Devil. Please allow me to introduce myself. What a great opening line for a song. And Let It Bleed, featuring You Can't Always Get What You Want, though you try sometimes, you'll find you might get what you need. And Give Me Shelter. Let It Bleed was the first of 5 straight #1 albums in the UK in 1969. They were first introduced on stage as the greatest rock and roll band in the world. Their tongue and lip logo appeared in 71. Sticky Fingers, da 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 da. Yeah, it looks like Brian Jones put this thing together and it was sort of slipped away from him because maybe too controlling. It's never your band. It really isn't. If you start a band and you started it and you get the people and you put it together, it is never your band, right? There are other people in it. They can leave. They can decide me, the drummer and the bassist are just gonna quit this band and start our own band. Now you can't. Why am I married an 18-year-old? Ugh, what is wrong with people? It's so that is so sketch. Oh my gosh. He said falling out of but I didn't find why falling out the tree saved his life. All right, so let's look into Jones here. And I want to know how many instruments he played. Slide guitar. Jones went to play a wide variety of instruments on Rolling Stone, of course, such as in Quantum lead and rhythm guitar and sitar. He played the sitar, various keyboards, and wind instruments. Good Lord. Love clarinets and relationship with father. Estrangement from the band, legal issues, and departure from Rolling Stones' death. Oh boy. All right. Paternity cover up, former Rolling Stones, musical contributions. Here we are. I don't go in so much for people's drama, and I just want to know what you did, right? Multi instrumentalist, plays 2 or more instruments at a professional level of proficiency. And then you have a picture of a guy holding 2 saxophones, like I guess an alto and a tenor sax. But they're 2 saxophones. It's like me holding an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar. Let's look that up later. I'm just curious as someone trying to learn the guitar. Seemingly at home on any musical instrument prior to his firing in 1969 on any instrument apart from the standard rock set of drums, guitar, piano, and bass. So he was good at everything, but the stuff that makes up a 4-piece band, right? Prince was good at all this shit. Prince could play you the trumpet or the clarinet, but he also could play you the drums. He could play you the lead, right, the guitar, right, and he could play the keyboard. We see him playing the piano all the time. Um, he would write music and come start a band and go play. You play this, you play this, you play this, you play this, which is just freaking crazy when you think about it. But there's a lot of these guys, right? Quirky, interesting guys. A lot of music made now about people who aren't really musicians. I mean, they make money in music, but they're not really musicians, right? Some of these women who sing can't even sing. Jones was the only player. Jones was the one playing it. Prior to his firing 69 on any, seemingly at home on any musical instrument. Prior to his firing in 1969 on any instrument apart from a standard rock set, Jones was the one playing it. His ability to play a wide variety instrument is particularly evident in the album Aftermath. Between the Buttons and their Satanic Majesty to Quest 67. As a guitarist in early days, he favored a white teardrop shaped electric guitar produced by Vox Company. A white teardrop shaped guitar. I want to see this guitar. A white teardrop shaped electric guitar produced by the Vox Company. Let's see if we search this and there you go. Woo! That's fucking beautiful. Come on, picture. Come on, picture. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right, fine. We're gonna go over here. Gonna go over here. Go here. Here. No? Fine. Be like that. We will find it someplace else. This is a picture of it. This is it. This is it in his case. His case is really interesting. But this is it. It looks pretty good. White teardrop hollow body guitar. There's a black one. This is not teardrop. I don't know what this other one is, but it's not teardrop. Very, oh, sorry about that. Very nice. We're getting back to you. Um, Especially in live performance. He also played a wide variety of electric and acoustics from companies such as Rickenbacker. All right. He favored the open E and open G tuning. Open E tuning is E B E G sharp B E. Open E tuning. So he's got three E's. He's got, oh, well, hold on. Wait a minute. He's got E B E again, G sharp, B, and E. So E is right. The A is a B now. The D is an E now. The G is a G flat. The B is the B and the E is the E. Okay, that's maybe that's why you get more than one guitar. So you can have them all in weird tunings. Among other alternative tuning for the guitar, an open G string is an open tuning that features the G major chord. Its open notes are selected from the notes of the G major chord, such as the G major triad, G, B, D. For example, popular open G tuning is D, G, D, G, B, D. So the E is a D, the A is a G, the D is a D, the G, I mean not the G, the G is G, the B is a B, and the E is a D. So he's changed one, two, he only changed one, two, three. So he changed three of these. So is that the magic? You can only change three when you alternate tune? Different, different, different B, E. Yeah, I think it's three. All right, it has to be. Example of Jones contributing on his slide guitar. I want to be your man. I'm a king bee. Ba, 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 ba. Jones also played harmonica. How did he have time to get into drugs? He also played the harmonica. Example of Jones' contribution on his slide guitar. Ba, 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 ba. Jones can be heard playing Bo Diddley style rhythm guitar on "I Need You, Baby, Please Go Home." 19th century breakdown guitar riffs. And I look like he made this band. Ruby Tuesday, and also that saxophone. He played the saxophone on Child of Mine, Citadel, Kazoo on Cool, Calm and Collected, Appalachian Dulcimer on what? An Appalachian. Okay, hold on. There it is. Wow. All right. Um. Ruby Tuesday. He played kazoo. Ah. He played kazoo. he played kazoo. All right. He made the mellotron. Oh, I've seen Paul McCartney used this in his documentary. The mellotron is an electrical mechanical musical instrument developed in Birmingham, England in 1963. It evolved from the similar Chamberlain, but could be mass produced more efficiently. The instrument is played by pressing its key, each of which, that's not the one. Uh, Instrument is played by pressing its key, each of which pushes a length of magnetic tape against a capstan tape transport, which pulls it across a playback head. Then, as the key is released, the tape is retracted by a spring to its initial position. It's essentially the first MIDI, right? So you can have them things say like "I want pie," "I want pie," "I want pie," So it's so weird that this is a thing. The Moody Blues. There's one thing I can do. Play my metronome for you. Try to blow away your city blues. Yeah, metronome. All right. Thank you, metronome. Good job. We're gonna get back to you. Um, we've been streaming for an hour. Bob Dylan. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, here's my problem. I mean, I need evidence for this. You just can't. If that's the case, anybody can show up in your life at any time and accuse you of doing something 50 years ago, 20 years ago. It's a problem, right? It's a fucking problem. Put them in jail when they did it. I just, I don't want to be dark about it, but I mean, where were we? Let's play harmonica, Rolling Stone early songs. Come on, Stone, not fade away. Under assistant from blah, blah, blah. In earlier, Jones often served as a backing vocalist. Notable examples are "Come On," "I Want to Be Your Man," "Walking the Back." Blah, 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 blah. Richards maintained that what he calls guitar weaving emerged from this period. From listening to Jimmy Reed's album, we listened to we listened to the teamwork trying to work out what was going on in those records, how you could play together with two guitars and make it sound like four or five. Jones and Richards' guitars became a signature of the sound of the Rolling Stone, with both guitarists playing rhythm and lead without clear boundaries between the two roles. Wow. Jones and Richards' guitars became signature of the sound of the Stones. Both guitarists playing rhythm and lead without clear boundaries between the two. Huh. Oldman's arrival as manager marked the beginning of Jones' slow estrangement. Jones saw his influence over the Stones' direction slide as their repertoire comprised few of the blues covers than he preferred. More Jagger Richards' original development, and Oldman increased his own managerial control, displacing Jones from yet another role. He was the manager. According to Jones, was an outsider from the beginning, but he started the band, right? So if he was anything, he wasn't an outsider, as he was the impetus, right? He was the soul of the band because he started it. He worked so yeah. I don't know. When the first tours were arranged in '60, he traveled separately from the band, stayed at different hotels, demanded extra pay. Yeah, that right there will get you out of the band. His girlfriend of 2 years left him for Richards when Jones was hospitalized during a trip the three made to Morocco. Why would you take this dude with your girl? Because you really thought he was your homie, he was your friend. You really and then you get sick, you come out of the hospital, and there you have it. The idea that people should just be like, oh well, always no, that that's self-serving, right? Isn't it self-serving? No one should be mad about these breakups. Like you have feelings involved in it. Now you just cut them all off and go on because that's what people are supposed to do. It's just it's incredible shit. They further damaging the already strained relationship between Jones and Richards. As tension in Jones' substance abuse increased, so you got rid of him for his abuse, but you didn't get rid of Keith Richards for his drug abuse. His musical contribution became sporadic. He became bored with guitar and sought exotic instruments to play and was increasingly absent from recording sessions. Yeah. In Peter White's promotional film for We Love You, made in July 6th, he appears extremely groggy and disoriented. Jones was arrested for drug possession shortly after a red bus found marijuana, cocaine, and methamphetamine in his flat. He confessed to marijuana use, but said he did not use hard drugs. In June 67, he attended the Monterey Pop Festival there. He met Dennis Hopper and went on stage and introduced the Jimi Hendrix Experience, who were not yet well known in the United States. Hostility grew between Jones, Jagger, and Richards, alienating Jones from the group. Although many note that Jones could be friendly and outgoing, Wyman, Richard, and Watts have commented that he could also be cruel and difficult. By most accounts, Jones' attitude changed frequently. He was 1 minute caring and generous the next minute. As Wyman observed the Stone, there was at least two sides to Brian's personality. Look, you can't hold him up and say we did him wrong, right? But you don't want to demonize the dead, but you also don't want to alienate yourself with the band that you're in. So I hear a lot of this wonky talk. If you really listen to it, it's sort of bullshit. I mean, it goes against what people are. And don't get me wrong, some people are exceptional, but you rarely find four exceptional people in one band, one office, one this. You know what I mean? There are truth tellers, but they're not everywhere. I mean, we're very rare. They're not everywhere, right? Ugh, dude, man. Um, and traveling February board, different hotel. We skipped this. Jones' girlfriend, substance abuse. We skipped this. There you go. Jones was arrested. He said, then we did that. Hostility grew between Jones. Knows that Jones was friendly. Going. The next morning, but most accounts, Jones' attitude changed frequently. He was 1 minute caring and making efforts. The next making an effort to anger everyone. As Wyman observed in Stones alone, there was at least two sides of Brian. One Brian was introvert, shy, sensitive, deep uh, thinking. The other was preening, peacock, gregarious, autistic, desperately needing assurances from his peers. Wyman added, he pushed every friendship to the limit and way beyond. Oh, really? Huh, it's very interesting. Jones' last substantial sex with the Stones occurred in spring of summer of '68 when the Stones produced Jumper Jack Flash and the Beggars Banquet album. He can be seen in the Jean-Luc Godard film One Plus One playing acoustic guitar and chatting and sharing a cigarette with Richards, although Jones is neglected in the music making. Uh, the film chronicles the making of Sympathy for the Devil. Where once Jones played multiple instruments on many tracks, he now played only minor roles on a few pieces. Jones' last film appearance was in December of '68, the Rolling Stones Rock and Roll Circus, a part concert, part circus act, organized by the band. It was released for more than 25 years before Jagger. It went unreleased for more than 25 years because Jagger was unhappy with the band performance compared to others in the film, such as Jethro Tull, John Lennon, The Who, and Taj Mahal. So he got all these guys to do it, and then his band was not the most awesome, so he shelved it for 25 years. Commentary included as a bonus material include that almost almost everyone at the concert sensed that the end of Jones' time with the Rolling Stones was near, and Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend of the Who thought it would be Jones' last live musical performance. Legal issues upon Jones was arrested on the second time in May '68, searching account which he had been left by previous tenant of the flat because he was on probation at the time. He faced a long jail sentence if found guilty. The jury found him guilty, but the judge had sympathy for Jones and instead of jailing him, he fined him pounds back then, equivalent of 874 in 2019, plus 105 in cost, equating 1,300, and told him, for goodness sake, don't get into trouble again, or it really will be serious. See, gave him a shot. Jones' legal trouble, estranged from his bandmates, substance abuse, and mood swing became too much of an obstacle to his active participation in the band. The Rolling Stones wanted to tour the United States in '69 for the first time in 3 years, but Jones was not in the fit condition to tour, and his second arrest exacerbated the problem with acquiring U.S. work visa. See? Meanwhile, Keith Richards just came back, right, in '68 from Canada into America for maybe treatment was how he got in here, but while he was here, he was able to tour. Same guy in your band cannot do it. So it's in addition, Jones' attendance at rehearsal and recording session had become erratic. When he did appear, he was either rarely contributing anything musical, or when he did, his bandmate would switch off his amplifier, leaving Richards to play nearly all the guitars. According to author Gary Herman, Jones was literally incapable of making music. When he tried to play harmonica, his mouth started bleeding. Wow. This behavior was problematic during this. Okay, let's get to it. We got it. He was a drug addict. Uh, in March '69, Jones borrowed the group's Jaguar and went shopping in Pimlico Road. After the parking car was towed away by police, Jones hired a chauffeur-driven car to get home. In May '69, Jones crashed his motorcycle into the shop window and was secretly taken to the hospital under an assumed name. From this point, he was still attending recording sessions, but no longer a major contributor to the band's music. By May, he had made two contributors to the work in progress: Odo Hart on "You Got the Silver" and percussion on "Midnight Rambler." Jagger informed Jones that he would be fired from the band if he did not turn up to photo sessions. Looking frail, he nonetheless showed up at his last photo session as a Rolling Stone took place in Midtown. And then Ethan Russell's photograph studio. Hold on, wait. Okay, so he showed up for photos. The photo will appear on the album. The Past Darkly. The song decided that following the release of Let It Be '69, they would start a tour of North America December '69. However, the Stones' manual was from that Jones would not receive a work permit owing to his drug conviction. At the suggestion of Stewart, the Stones decided to add a new guitarist on June 8, June '69. Jones was visited by Jagger, Richards, and Watt and told that the group had formed would continue without him. To the public, it appeared as Jones had left voluntarily. The other band members told him that although he was being dismissed, it was his choice to how to break it to the public. Jones released a statement on July 9 announcing his departure. In this statement, he said, among other things, I no longer see eye to eye with others over the disc we're cutting. He was replaced by 20-year-old guitarist Mick Taylor, formerly of Maxwell Bluesbreaker. Okay, during the period of decreasing involvement in the band, Jones was living in Copper Farm, the residence formerly owned by Winnie the Pooh and Arthur A. Mill, which Jones had purchased in '68. That Jones seemed happier than he had been. Yeah, and went over seemed just super happy a couple of days before you kick it. Jones is known to have contacted Corner, Stewart, John Lennon, Mitch Mitchell, Alan Price, and Jimmy Miller about intentions to put together another band. Jones had apparently demoed a few of his own songs in the week before his death, including "Has Anybody Seen My Baby" and "Child Time." Okay, so July 2nd, '62. When was he out of the band? '69, rather. 60. June 9, '69, he released his statement. Good Lord. 3 days later, Jones was discovered motionless at the bottom of a swimming pool. His Swedish girlfriend, Anna Wollin, was convinced he was alive when he was taken out of the pool, and says he still had a pulse. However, by the time the doctors arrived, it was too late. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital at the age of 27. The coroner reports say that it was drowning, later clarified as death by misadventure, which generally means drinking, drugs, being goofy, climbing a fucking coconut tree and falling out and dying. Dead on arrival, also dead in the field, and not that we know what that is. Death by misadventure. In the United Kingdom, death by misadventure, as recorded by coroner and other on death certificate and associate document, is one that is primarily attributed to an accident that occurred due to a risk that was taken voluntarily. In contrast, so yeah, you take drugs voluntarily and then you die. I mean, it's just, man, death by misadventure. His liver and heart were heavily enlarged by past drug and alcohol abuse. Oh, that's not good. Upon Jones' death, the Who's Pete Townsend wrote a poem. Of course, he did. Uh, the Who's Pete Townsend wrote a poem titled "A Normal Day for Brian," a man who died every day. Printed in the Times. Jimi Hendrix dedicated a song to him on U.S. television, and Jim Morrison, another person who died. Jimi Hendrix died of drugs. Uh, Jim Morrison died of drugs. These are the people. Pete Townsend. Did Pete Townsend had a? Well, he's still around. Uh, Published a poem titled "Ode to L.A." while thinking of Brian Jones, deceased. That's the name of the poem. "Ode to L.A." while thinking of Brian Jones, deceased. Coincidentally, Hendrix and Morrison both died within the following 2 years at the same age as Jones. The Rolling Stones performed at a free concert in Hyde Park. 2 days after Jones' death, the band decided to dedicate the concert, which had been scheduled weeks earlier, as an opportunity to present their new guitarist, Mick Taylor, to Jones before the Stones set. Good Lord, there's a period there. Learn to stop reading. The band decided to dedicate the concert, which had been scheduled weeks earlier, as an opportunity to present their new guitarist, Mick Jones, to Jones. Okay. Before the Stones set, Jagger read excerpts from Adonis, a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley about the death of his friend John Keats, and stagehands released hundreds of white butterflies as part of the tribute. The band opened with Johnny Winter, a song that was one of Jones's favorite, "I'm Yours and I'm Hers." Jones was reported buried 10 feet in Chilton Cemetery to prevent exhumation by trophy hunters. His body was embalmed with hair bleached white and was placed in an airtight silver and bronze casket. Watts and Wyman were the only Rolling Stones who attended the funeral. Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull were traveling to Australia to begin filming of Ned Kelly. Wow. They say that their contract did not allow them to delay their trip to attend the funeral. That's bullshit. When asked if he felt guilty about Jones' death, Mick Jagger told Rolling Stones in '95, "No, I don't really. No, I don't really. I do feel that I behaved in a very childish way, but we were very young. In some ways, we picked on him. We picked on him, right? But unfortunately, he made himself a target for it. He was very, very jealous, very difficult, very manipulative. And if you do that in this kind of group of people, you get back as good as you give, to be honest. I wasn't understanding enough about his drug addiction. No one seemed to know much about drug addiction. Things like LSD were all new. No one knew the harm. People thought cocaine was good for you. No one thought that. Long time. What a statement to make. The only honest thing I get in here is, yeah, we were young and we weren't cool and we were sort of assholes to him. But all the other stuff, drug abuse, no one takes that into fucking account. Assholes are assholes. I don't care if you have a drug problem. Oh, does he have a drug problem? Well, he's still an asshole, right? Young men don't think that way. Uh, he's just an asshole, manipulative. What happened to just having a fucking fist fight? Like, men settle shit. People thought cocaine was good for you. Longtime Rolling Stone bassist Bill Wyman instead of Jones. He formed the band. He chose the members. He named the band. He chose the music we played. He got us gigs. He was very influential, very important, and then slowly lost it. Highly intelligent and just kind of wasted it and blew it away. Murder mystery. All right, do we even need to get into this? Theories surrounding Joan death. All rock stars are always murdered by somebody. The murdered third bubble back a third for every 5 years. So 1930 was where that Jones was murdered by Frank Thorogood, a builder who was doing construction work on the property. He was the last person to see Jones alive. Thorogood allegedly confessed the murder to the Rolling Stones driver, Tom Kaylock, who later denied this. So you're saying someone murdered him and that someone confessed to someone else, but that someone else is telling you that didn't happen. Why is this even in here? I guess it's wiki, right? It's got to be in here. Um, who later denied this. The Thorogood story was dramatized in 2005 movie Stoned. Of course it was. Thorogood is alleged to have killed Jones in a fight over money. He had been paid $18,000 for the work on Cotton Farm, but wanted $6,000 from another $6,000 from the musician. The killing alleged to have been covered up by senior police officers when they discovered how badly the investigation into Jones' death had been botched by the local police. So the investigation into the thing by the local cops was botched so badly that Scotland Yard covered it up. Why would they do that? Look, cops who cover up shit are intimately involved in the shit they're covering up. No one comes from Jersey to help somebody in Wisconsin cover up a police murder. I mean, that just doesn't even make any sense. I mean, I think this looks good if you're reading and you don't know a lot, but this just doesn't make any sense. The killing of the legend had been covered up by senior police officers when they discovered how badly the investigation into Jones' death had been botched. In August 2009, Sussex police decided to conduct a case review just to put this shit to rest. A case review of Jones' death for the first time since 1969 after new evidence was handed to them by Scott Jones. Okay, who's Scott Jones? An investigative. Okay, so yeah, he's about to write a book. An investigative journalist who had traced many of the people who were at Brian Jones' house the night he died. The journalist also uncovered unseen police files held at the National Archives. Okay, yeah, because in 1969 it was an open case. Why would they show you the police files? So now 10, 15, 20 years later, you got to go back and look at what people wrote in the official documents. That's why it's called archives. In 2010, following the review, Sussex Police said it would not be reopening the case. It's asserted that this has been thoroughly reviewed by the Sussex Police Crime Policy and Review Branch. I guess that's their cold case unit. But there's no new evidence to suggest that the coroner's original verdict of death by misadventure was incorrect. Retired for display. Look at that thing. Whew, look at that thing. Wow. Other country. And Summer Jones recorded. Yeah, okay. So he recorded music for other people. Public Image and Legacy. The 27 Club. Graffiti and Tel Aviv with Jones on the far left. Oh, yeah. Let's look at this. All right. So we got Jones. We got Jimi Hendrix. Is that Janis Joplin? Oh. Okay. We got Morrison. Is this Basquiat? I think this is Basquiat. This is Kurt Cobain. And this is Amy Winehouse. Ugh, all right. Jones on the far left. Let's look this up. Let's see if I'm right. This is the mural. It's sort of shit. The background art is 3 meters, 9 feet high by 7 meters, 23 feet wide, and depicts 7 artists from the 27 Club, a list of popular musicians or artists who died at the age of 27. It's supposed to be rock stars and musicians. I don't know how Basquiat got in there. And I hate to be the one to say it, but I think his work sucks. Everybody loved him. I remember he was all over New York, hanging out with Keith Haring. I like Keith Haring work. Keith Haring work. There's something about it. It's still great. The work depicts Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, John Paul Basquiat, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse, and an unknown figure believed to be the artist, Jonas Kislev. The website from the Grapevine called it probably the most popular work of art in the neighborhood of Florentine. Wow, it's the most popular work of art in the neighborhood. Okay, all right. I don't even know what that means. This has so this is supposed to be, so he stuck himself in. Yeah, this art is trash. It's popular. All right, hold on. I gotta see what people are saying about it. No one is saying shit about it. Some interpret the word to symbolize the price of fame and see morbid quality to it. The temptation is so great to change this to the price of drugs and alcohol. Lots of people are famous did not or will not die young. Will anyone revert such? Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's continue. Man, that haircut was popular in the 60s. Woo, look at that. The Beatles had it. Everybody had that haircut. Okay. Legal issue. But this doesn't say anything about his legal issues. It just says he left. Around midnight, he was found in the pool. Same age. The Rolling Stones performed a free concert at Hyde Park. Read, yeah. Murder theories, which is bullshit. Songwriting credits, which other contribution. Okay. Equipment, public image, and legacy. This is where we were. Okay. Pallenberg said, for love dressing up and posing about and would ask her to do her hair and makeup. Bo Diddley described Jones as a little dude that was trying to pull the group ahead. I saw him as a leader. He didn't take no mess. He was a fantastic cat. He handled the group beautifully. Yeah, I would fucking have to say he did. Jones' death at 27 was the first of the 1960s rock movement and was followed within 2 years by drug-related death of Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison and Janis Joplin. At the same age, Morrison in fact died 2 years to the day after Jones. The coincidence of their death at the age have been referred to in pop culture as the 27 Club. How many people in 27? When Alistair Jones, who owned Crotchet Farms for over 4 years after Jones, uh, after Jones' death, refurbished the pool. He sold the original tile to Jones fans for $100 each. Morbid bullshit, which paid for half of the work. Jones noted that Crotchet Farms remained for decades an attraction for after Jones' death. The Psychic TV song "God Star" is about Jones's death. The name of the band is Psychic TV. Robin Hitchcock. She's as pretty as Brian Jones was. Mick and Keith killed Brian. Ted Nugent, Death by Misadventure. Wow, everybody wrote songs about the dude. You gotta respect it. Um, Toys Love Song Swimming Pool listed several dead rock icons, including Jones, the others Morrison, Hendrix, and Mark Bolan. Okay, what did he die of? Did he die at 27 of drugs? 29. Why is he in this? All right. Death. September passing. Bolan was a passenger in the Mini 12 GT. Okay, driven by Gloria Jones as they headed from Morton's Club and Restaurant in Berkeley Square. After she crossed a small humpback bridge, the car struck a fence post and then a tree, while Jones suffered a broken arm and a broken leg, a broken jaw, rather. Okay, so was she speeding after she crossed a small humpback bridge? Okay, near Gypsy Lane and Queens Ride. I don't know what that is. Southwest London, the car struck a fence post and then a tree. Bolan was killed instantly, while Jones suffered a broken arm and a broken jaw. At Bolan's funeral, David Bowie, Rod Stewart, Tony Visconti, and Steve Harley, a swan-shaped floral tribute was displayed outside the service in recognition of breakthrough his single "Ride a White Swan." His funeral service was held 20 September 1977. Uh, Bolan never learned to drive, fearing a premature death. So he was afraid of dying in a car accident, so he didn't learn to drive, and he died in a car accident. Despite this fear, cars or automotive come on it, or at least mentioned in, if not the subject of many of his songs. He also owned a number of vehicles. He never learned to drive, but he owned a number of vehicles, including a white 1960 Rolls Royce that was loaned by his manager to the band Hawkwind on the night of his death. Bolan had arranged a discretionary trust to safeguard his money. A small, separate Jersey-based trust fund had allowed his son to receive some income. However, the bulk of Bolan's fortune, variously estimated between 20 and 30 million, approximately 30 to 50, remains in trust. Yeah, when you leave shit in trust, the only people who get the money are the people who are the trust of it. There are two plaques dedicated to his memory. The legendary Orgasm album, Small Blockhead, the beginning of Dubs, You Scared Me to Death, Dancing Midnight. Huh. It's amazing. Oh, oh, so she was his wife, and this is his son. A million years ago. All right, Mark Bolan. Let's see. Early life. Bolan was how to grew up. Pa, 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 pa. Bolan was a pupil in North School. Pa, 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 pa. Then he played guitars in Susie and the Hula Hoops, a trio whose vocals was a 12-year-old Helen Shapiro. She's best known for her chart-topping hits "You Don't Know" and "Walking Back to Happiness," both recorded when she was just 14 years old. Wow. Okay. During lunch break at school, he would play his guitar in the playground to a small audience of friends. At 15, he was expelled from school for bad behavior. Feature him as an early example of the mod movement in photo spread. When asked about his sexuality during the interview in 1975, Boland said that he was bisexual. That's a bold thing to say way back then, right? Being bisexual in what, 1975? Uh, was it worse than being gay or just the same as being gay? Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure gay rock stars weren't a thing. T Rex glam rock. There's very precious few pictures of him, which is weird in this thing about him and his death. All right, well, all right. Mark Bolan. Hold it, wait. I think there's just one at the top, right? Let's give this a good look. Glam rock, yeah. Shiny pants. Yeah, okay. I got you. Back to what we were reading. Oh man, we missed sunrise. Sunset rather. When was sunset?
Sunset was at 7:50 p.m. today.
Yeah. When is sunset tomorrow?
Sunset tomorrow.
7:49. Yep. All right. Jones. Many of Jones' contemporaries admitted to idolizing him as a young musician, including Noel Redding. Noel Redding was an English rock. He's dead too? Oh Lord, what's going on with the English rock people? Noel Redding, December 25th. Oh, he was born on Christmas, 1945. 11th of May, 2000. Was an English rock musician, best known for bass player for Jimi Hendrix Experience and guitarist for Fat Mattress. Okay. It sounds like he had a very long life. Redding was found dead in his home in Clonakilty, 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 on May 11th, on 11 May 2003, 3 weeks after the death of his mother. A postmortem carried out on May 3rd at Cork University Hospital in Wilton, Cork. The report concluded that Redding died from shock hemorrhage due to esophageal varices in reaction to cirrhosis of the liver. That is not good. Yeesh, that is not good. He was 57 years old. He was survived by a brother, a sister, and a son. He became a drinker. I get it. Drinking is not awesome, and I do a lot of it. No, Freddie, who, according to Pamela DeBerry, is on with the band, is a rock and roll groupie, writer, musician, actress. Really? She's a groupie. She's best known for her best-selling 1987 memoir, I'm with the Band, which she tells her experience in the Los Angeles rock music scene of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, okay. Uh, I'm with the band, contemplated suicide after hearing about his death. The Brian Jones Massacre, American psychedelic band, take their name partly from Jones and are heavily influenced by his work. The 2005 film Stones is an account of Jones and his role in the Rolling Stone. The part of Brian was played by English actor Leo Gregory. A fictionalized version of Jones and tribute concert to him appear in Alan Moore. Yeah, I know Alan Moore's a comic writer. Kevin O'Neill. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 2, Canterbury, is second issue, Paint It Black, his musicianship and crypto band. Yeah, that dude is I mean, sad. All right, hold on. Before we get to that, early music instruments. I think for this we just need the first one, right? A multi. Nah. A multi is someone who plays two or more musical instruments at a professional level of proficiency, also known as doubling. Really, the practice allows greater ensemble flexibility and more efficient employment of musicians, where a particular instrument may be employed only briefly or sporadically during a performance. Doubling is not common in orchestras, i.e., flutists who is not it's not uncommon in orchestras. Is not uncommon in orchestras. Example: flutists or flautists double as piccolo players. Okay, and jazz, the piccolo is a house-sized flute and a member of the woodwind family of musical instruments. Okay, I figured there'd be a piccolo, but that's fine. Saxophone, the saxophone is a type of what is up with this? Oh my god, double bass, the double bass or the stand-up bass. Players might also perform on electric bass in the music. So, flout is double on the piccolo. Jazz and jazz saxophone double on the flute. Double bass players might also perform on the electric bass. In music theater, a pit orchestra reed player might be required to perform on multiple instruments. Church piano players are often expected to play the church pipe organ or Hammond organ as well. In popular music, yeah, okay. In popular music, it's more common than in classical or jazz performers to be proficient on instruments, not from the same family, or for instance, to play both guitar and keyboard. In popular music, it's more common than in classical. Okay, that makes sense. Because you got less people, you got five people, you need multi. An orchestra, you got 30 people, everybody playing their own thing. But why would you play somebody to play the piccolo? Well, it's only this big and you don't use it that much. So yeah, okay, I get it. Many bluegrass musicians are multi. Yeah, a lot of southern blues and country music play multiple instruments. Multiple instruments. Some musician union or associations specify a higher rate of pay for musicians who double on two or more instruments for a performance or recording. That makes sense. Classical music, jazz, modern, contemporary. Colin Dyer, father of Sharon and Carl Dyer, surrounded by his instruments. Let's see what he's got here. He's got a guitar, a saxophone, electric guitar, a bass, another guitar. Well, we're going to call this. We're going to call all of these stringed instruments. He's got a piano here. He's got a kettlebell. That's good. Uh, he's got two pianos. He's got a stand-up bass. So it's essentially stringed instruments and keyboard, but he does have a sax in there. Good job on you, homie. Jimmy Castor with two types of saxophones. With an American funk, R&B, and soul musician, he is credited with vocal saxophone composition. He's best known for songs such as "It's Just Begun," "Birth the Big Butt," and the biggest hit single "Million to Troglodyte." All right. Pop music, rock music. Examples. Some musicians have pushed the limits of human musical skills on different instruments. British entertainer Roy Castle once set a world record by playing the same tune on 43 different instruments in 4 minutes. Wow. Wow. 43 different instruments in 4 minutes. All right, we got to look that up. We're going down a rabbit hole here. Anton Newby, frontman for Brian Jones Massacre, has claimed to be able to play 80 different instruments. Brian Jones, a late founding guitarist of the Rolling Stone, was well known to experiment with and utilize various instruments, both Western and exotic. By the time of his death, Jones had played a multitude of instruments on released records, ranging from traditional blues and traditional blues hallmarks like the harmonica, slide guitar, piano, slide guitar, piano, to more exotic ones such as the sitar, the mellotron, the Appalachian dulcimer, and another famous multi-instrument is Paul McCartney. On his album Mccartney, for example, he is credited with vocals, acoustic guitar, the electric guitar, which is sort of the same thing, bass guitar. Okay. Drums, yes. Drums is very different from the piano, yes. Organ, sort of the same thing. Percussion is drums, right? Did you just say drums? Wine glass, the mellotron, And other credit performers, wife Linda, who provide vocal harmonies. Progressive rock composer Mike Oldfield plays many types of guitars, but it's a okay. Maybe well, I don't want to shit on one guitar being different from the other, one sax being from different from any other. Because what do I know about music? I'm absolutely a neophyte. Many types of guitar, organ, piano, mandolins. I love a mandolin. Timpani. What is a timpani? Come on, man. Give us pictures for God's sakes. Timpani. Oh, the giant drums. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. You're playing with two sticks in each hand. Yeah, pretty good. The timpani. All right. Timpani Italian is a kettle drum, essentially called, informally called temps, a musical instrument percussion family type of drum categorized as a hemispherical drum that consists of. Yeah, okay, it's a kettle drum. It's essentially, if you flip it on the side, marching bands use it when they go marching. When they go marching. Linda, the late Linda Mccartney, rest her soul, died of cancer. Played the mandolin. Let's get a shot of it because I love it. The bazoki, which I've never heard of. No, okay, that's beautiful. This is beautiful. Hold on, I've never heard of this. Greek, especially blues, it's a musical instrument probably in Greece. It's remember the long neck lute flam. It's a lute with a round body and a flat top and a long neck. Fretboard is steel strings and played with a plectrum. Produced a sharp metallic sound reminiscent of a mandolin but pitched lower. There are two types of bosom. Okay. They look good, but man, that fat bottom makes me nuts. And then there's a beautiful mandolin. Look at this thing. I love a mandolin. I like the sound of it. All right. In 1789, Luigi Bassi played the role of Don Giovanni in Mozart's opera Serenading Woman with a Mandolin. This used to be the common picture of the mandolin, an obscure instrument of romance in the hand of a Spanish noble. Yeah, its mandolin is essentially a throwback to a lute, but so is a guitar. The giant round bottom is what I'm not crazy about. This is it. GDA. Really? The mandolin has eight strings, but it's got four, one, two, three, four. Yeah, nut. So this is tuned to E, G, D, A, E, A, huh. Look how big her lute is. She might have been playing the guitar. Oh no, that's a bazooka. It's impressive. Oh wow, look at all the freaking lutes. It's impressive. All right, let's get out of here. We're going down rabbit holes. Uh, English dancer, singer, comedian, actor, television presenter, musician. It's going to be an accomplished jazz trumpet player. He could play many other instruments following a versatile career at the performance on stage, television, and film. He became best known at the British Television Bureau as a long-running presenter of the children's series Record Breaker. 1994. Really? No picture of the gentleman? Hold on. No lists of illness and death. Lung cancer. Good Lord. Every time I look up famous people, they're always passing away. Multi instrumentalists will close you. History. Brian Jones, Jimi Hendrix. Well, Brian Jones was the first, so this is a new thing. All time the Queens gave rise to some comment, but it was not until Kurt Cobain death in 1994 at the age of 27 that the idea of 27 covered the catch on the public perception. Blues musician Robert Johnson, who died in 1930, is the earliest popular musician who have been included in the members of the 27 Club. Yeah, The bluesman Robert Johnson. Robert Leroy Johnson was an American blues guitarist, singer, and songwriter. Robert Johnson essentially made the blues popular. Uh, his landmark recording, 1936, 1937, displayed a combination of singing, guitar skills, and songwriting talent that has influenced later generations of musicians. He is now recognized as the master of the blues, particularly the Delta blues style. As a traveling performer who played mostly on street corners and juke joints and Saturday night dances, Johnson had little commercial success or public recognition in his lifetime. He participated in only two recording sessions, one in San Antonio in 1936 and one in Dallas in 1937, that produced 29 distinct songs with 13 surviving alternate takes. Wow. So he produced 29 songs and made just about half of them had alternatives. I mean, that's crazy. Alternative takes on the same song, recorded by famed country music Hall of Famer Don Law. These songs recorded at low fidelity is improvised studios were the totality of his recorded output. Most were released as 10-inch 78 RPMs in 37 and 38, with free release after his death. Other than those recordings, very little was known of him during his life outside of the small musical circuit in the Mississippi Delta, where he spent most of his life. Much of his story has been reconstructed after his death by researchers. Johnson's poorly documented life and death have given rise to much legend. The most closely associated with his life is that he sold his soul to the devil at the local crossroads to achieve musical success, which is a great story, right? But if you know anything about Southern Black people, super religious. So I'm sure if he was alive, he would be super offended by this. But yeah, he was stabbed in a no. I think he was poisoned by a bartender. Johnson died on August 6, 1930, at the age of 27 in Greenwood, Mississippi, of unknown causes. His death was not reported publicly. He merely disappeared from the historical record, and it was not until almost 30 years later when Gail Dean Wardlow, a Mississippi-based musicologist researching Jones' life, found his death certificate, which listed only date and location with no official cause of death because he was Black, right? No formal autopsy was done. Instead, a pro forma examination was done to fill the death certificate, and no immediate cause of death was determined. It's likely he had congenital syphilis. Ugh, that's not good. And it was suspected later by medical professionals that may have been contributing to fact in his death. However, 30 years of local legend and oral tradition, like the rest of his life, built a legend which has filled in the gaps. Several different accounts have described the events preceding his death. Johnson had been playing for a few weeks at a country dance in a town about 15 miles from Greenwood. According to one theory, Johnson was murdered by a jealous husband of a woman with whom he had flirted. In an account by the blues musician Sonny Boy Williams, Johnson had been flirting with a married woman at the dance, and she gave him a bottle of whiskey poisoned by her husband. When Johnson took the bottle, Williams knocked it out of his hand and admonished him for never drink from a bottle that had not been personally seen open. Johnson replied, "Don't ever knock a bottle out of my hand." Soon after, he was offered another poison bottle and accepted it. Johnson is reported to have uh, begun feeling ill the evening after he had been helped back to his room. Wait a minute. Johnson reportedly had begun feeling ill evening. Phil Johnson reportedly report Johnson is reportedly, oh God, good Lord, man. I'm obviously tired. Johnson is reported to have begun feeling ill the evening after comma, he had to be helped back to his room in the early morning hours. Over the next few days, his condition steadily worsened. Witnesses reported that he died in convulsion states of severe pain. The musicologist Robert McCormick claimed to have tracked down the man who murdered Johnson and to have obtained a confession from him in the personal interview, but he declined to reveal the man's name. Why? Why would you decline to reveal the murderer's name? You're full of shit. Um, While strychnine has been suggested as a poison that killed Johnson, at least one scholar has disputed the notion. Tom Grave, in his book Crossroad, The Life and Afterlife of Blues Legend Robert Johnson, relies mhm, relies on expert testimony from toxicologists to argue that strychnine has such a distinctive odor and taste that it cannot be disguised even in strong liquor. Grave also claimed that a significant amount of strychnine would have to be consumed in one sitting to be fatal, and that death from the poison will occur within hours, not days. You don't never know. There's a lot of murderers walking around. In 2019 book, Up Jumped the Devil, Bruce conformed and Geraldine Waller says that the poison was naphthalene from dissolved mothballs. This was a common way of poisoning people in the rural South, but was rarely fatal. However, Johnson has been diagnosed with an ulcer and esophageal varices, and the poison was sufficient to cause them to hemorrhage. He died after 2 days of severe abdominal pain, vomiting, and bleeding from the mouth. The LaFleur County Register Cornelia Jordan, years later and after conducting an investigation into Jones' death for the state director of vital statistics, R.N. Whitfield, wrote a clarifying note on the back of Jones' death certificate. I talked with the white man on whose place this Negro died. LaFleur County, years later, and after conducting an investigation into Jones' death, okay, okay, it doesn't say what year, because up here it says 2019 book, Up Jump the Devil. It implies this was in 2019, but it wasn't. Uh, I talked with a white man on whose place this Negro died, and I talked with a Negro woman on the place. The plantation owner said the Negro man, seemingly about 26 years old, came from Tunica 2 or 3 weeks before he died to play banjo at a Negro dance given there on the plantation. He stayed in the house with some of the Negroes, saying he wanted to pick cotton. The white man did not have a doctor for this Negro, as he had not worked for him. He was buried with a homemade coffin furnished by the county. The plantation owner said it was his opinion that the man died of syphilis. The plantation owner is not a fucking doctor. All right, in 2006, the medical publication of David Conway says on the basis of photographs showing Johnson unnaturally long fingers and one bad eye that Johnson may have had Marfan syndrome, which could have been affected his guitar playing and contributed to his death due to aortic aortic dissection. Ugh. Aortic aortic dissection occurs when an injury to the innermost layer of the aorta allows blood to flow between the layers of the aorta wall, forcing the layers apart. Wow. In most cases, it's associated with a sudden onset of severe chest pain or back pain, described as tearing. Yee, that's not good. Yeah, that is not good at all. What is Marfan syndrome? Is a genetic disorder that affects the connective tissue. Those with the condition tend to be tall, thin, with long arms and legs, fingers, and toes. They also typically have overly flexible joints and scoliosis. Overly flexible joints and scoliosis? Okay. The exact location. I mean, they buried him in a box on a plantation. Why do you tell me you know where he's buried? The exact location is officially unknown. 3 different markers have been erected at possible sites in the church cemetery outside. He's got 3 grave markers. Research from the 1980s and 1990s suggests Johnson was buried in the graveyard at Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church near Morgan, not far from Greenwood, in an unmarked grave. A 1 ton a cenotape is an empty tomb or monument erected in honor of a person or group of people whose remains are elsewhere. Maybe we should get giant one of those for black people. Uh, in the shape of an obelisk. So you don't know where he's buried, but you put a fucking 1 ton cenotaph where you think he is. Listing of Johnson's song titles was 1990, a small, okay. Devil Legend, all right. Interpretation, musical style. Johnson considered a master of the blues, particularly the Delta blues. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones said in 1990, "You want to know how good the blues can get? Well, this is it." But according to Eli Wall in his book Escaping the Delta, Johnson in his own time was most respected for his ability to play in a wide range of styles, from raw country slide guitar to jazz and pop licks, and for his ability to pick up guitar and guitar parts almost instantly upon hearing them. His first recorded song, Kind Hearted Woman Blues, is contrast to the prevailing Delta style of the time. So he played something not everyone else was playing, even though he could play everything else. And then he expanded it. More resembling of the style of Chicago and St. Louis with a full-fledged, abundantly varied musical arrangement. The song was part of a cycle of spin-offs and responses song. They began with Larry Carr, Mean Mistreat a Mama. According to Wald, it was the most musically complex in the cycle and stood apart from most rural blues as thoroughly composed lyrics rather than arbitrarily collected of more or less unrelated verses. Unusual for Delta players of the time, a record exhibit what Johnson a Delta player at the time. A recording exhibit what Johnson could do entirely outside of the blues style. They're red hot from his first recording session. There was showed that he was also comfortable with uptown swing or ragtime. Sounds similar to that of the Harlem Hem Fats. I don't know what a Hem Fat is. Was a Chicago jazz band, 1936. Initially blues singers such as Army Temple, Rosetta Howard, Frankie Jackson, for Decca Records, their first record. Oh, okay. But his voice, an important aspect of Jones's singing was his use of microtonality. These subtle inflections of pitch help explain why his singing conveys such powerful emotion. Eric Clapton described Johnson's music as the most powerful cry that I think you can find in the human voice. In two takes of Me and the Devil, he shows a high degree of precision and complex vocal delivery of the last verse. The range of tone can be packed into a few lines. Hmm, microtonality. Okay, microtonality. Okay, is this it? No, I know the Dorian. I mean, I want to hear microtonality, people. Why don't you have a copy of it in here for me? Western researchers. What about the musicians? Who are the musicians? Just music, modern Western micro composers. Wow, no famous names that I know of on either of these lists. In the West, microtonal pioneers. Pioneers. He should be on this list, shouldn't he? Wow, there are no people I know on these lists. Ben Johnson. There's a billion Ben Johnsons in the world. You know what? Trying to use this George Eskew. Well, maybe someone just called them that. It smells like something is burning in this house, but I'm not cooking anything. It takes two. Me and the Devil Blues. He shows a high degree of precision. Robert Johnson's guitar. Johnson's master guitar being considered today as one of the all-time great on the instrument. His approach was complex and musically advanced. When Keith Richards was first introduced to Johnson music by his bandmate Brian Jones, he asked, "Who is this other guy playing with him?" Not realizing it was Johnson playing one guitar. I was hearing two guitars, and it took a long time to actually realize he was doing it all by himself," said Richards, who later stated that Robert Johnson was like an orchestra all by himself. Wow. The story of with Dick Gordon. Bill Ferris, American Punk Media, Robert Johnson, I think of is the same way I think of the British romantic poets Keats and Shelley, who burned out early, who were geniuses at wordsmithing poetry. The blues, if anything, are deeply sexual. You know, my car doesn't run. I'm going to check my oil. If you don't like my apples, don't shake my tree. Every verse has sexuality associated with it. What? The blues, if anything, are deeply sexual. You know, my car doesn't run. I got to check my oil. If you don't like my apples, don't shake my tree. How's that sexual? Here's a little bit by Bob Dylan. When Johnson starts singing, he's saying, okay, you know what? Oh, we looked into these guys. Let's look up Johnson, a song by Johnson. Here's the thing: can I even play it? Is any of his stuff in the public domain? All of Robert Johnson's work is in the public domain. If Robert Johnson died in 1930, why is his music still covered by copyright? When was this written? August 7th, 2009. Yeah, I can't even play you shit from him because corporations own fucking everything. I cannot wait for the second revolution because some of these people are fucking ridiculous. Their greed knows no bounds. What is public domain? The songs never had a copyright. For most blues, traditional author is simply unknown. The songs are transmitted orally and performed by custom over many years. St. James Infirmary Blues is a well-known example. Wow. Okay. I want to hear some of his music, but that's not going to be possible. So we're going to end this thing. Woo. Let's get rid of this. Are going. Bob Dylan. So yeah. We are going to end this stream. Thanks for coming through. What a day I had today. I mean, I will catch you in the next one, which is tomorrow at 6:30. And I will see you then. Hopefully in a better mood, because what can I tell you? We did a lot of reading. I think we did like an hour. Well, we've been streaming for 2 hours. I think we've been reading for like 90 minutes. Actually, we've probably been reading for 2 hours. Thanks for coming through. I will see you tomorrow. I wish you well. Better days are ahead, right? That's what we have to tell ourselves. Better days are ahead. All right. Peace.